There's some shit about reality you just can't fix. Alright? You sign up to care about something. There are just some things you have to accept about life. You're not going to make a difference. Everyone wants to change the world. Few people are actually going to do it. So don't kid yourself. By caring about something, you are signing up willingly for self-torture. It's a special kind of masochism that forces people to care about things. Being passionate about shit means feeling like shit, and you of all people should know that. There's no special way to spin that to make it sound better, alright? You just have to understand that about what you're doing. So get down here and do it. You've committed, and you know you're not going to stop. Get your fucking ass out here. So this mission may seem remarkably similar to the final mission of the other areas where we have to deliver to every person in the level without them passing out. This does require memorization in the same fashion as every other level, but there's a reason this is not the final mission. This is not the finale. This is just a warm-up, alright? This is just a warm-up for the big shit. This is nothing. If you can't handle this, you can't handle the finale. Not that many people cared or saw the finale. Like, even if you were a professional game critic that played the game through as much as possible before reviewing it, there's no final cutscene or ending or anything, so I highly doubt anyone finished all 80 missions unless they wanted to bitch about the game and wanted to feel justified in doing it. You ever wonder why the fuck people make things? 'Cause I wonder that a lot. I cannot imagine the mental and emotional fortitude involved in making shit, like pouring thousands and thousands of hours into work into making something that you know people are gonna hate no matter what. I just can't fathom that. Like, the odds of someone noticing the effort you put into specific things is so small. It's so minuscule. And sure, I noticed the effort they put into exploring the game mechanics and shit like sneaking, but who is going to give a shit? Besides me and the few people that watch this, who's going to give a shit about your game design? Like, I could point out that it makes excellent use of this space in this particular level where you move around the city block to have the hungry citizens so far apart from each other, because running around an entire block to get to them is actually a genuine challenge when you're trying to avoid the detection, especially when there are so many people wandering around at once. Granted, sometimes their pathing is such that it's not actually difficult to swerve around them, but it's a good concept. And I don't think it's been used in any of the previous levels, is the concept that the hungry people are just really far apart. Not that this level is gigantic or anything. The sawmill certainly made a much bigger deal out of getting from one end of the level to the other. You know, this mission is a success and a failure. It's a success in the sense that it injects variety into the situation by adding a new objective that we haven't seen in previous maps. And it's a failure in the sense that, although it's meant to be challenging, if you've played the game up to this point, you're probably not going to fail this mission. You could say it's padding if you wanted, but then there's the argument to be made that running from one end of the map to the other so quickly is a good practice for the final missions where you have to feed everyone on the map, which does require a lot of running. But I mean, like, who gives a shit, right? It's a Burger King advert game. It doesn't matter how much effort you put into the design, or where it succeeded, or where it failed, or whether it would make interesting conversation to discuss the design of the game and other games like it and how it compares to the medium as a whole. No one gives a shit. I mean, someone had to make it, because Burger King commissioned it, and you made it, and you actually tried. You tried to make something good, something worthwhile, something worth caring about. Did it work? On me? It worked on me. I can't imagine it worked on too many other people. So where the fuck are you? You and all the other artists making these things. Making these things because you give a shit about game design. Like I give a shit about game design. Where are you? Get out here and tell these people that you cared. I know that you cared. I can see it. I can see that you cared by looking at the game. It's obvious. It's oozing it. I can see it everywhere. I know that you gave a shit. Most people don't. And they never will. And it isn't just fucking this. It's everything. And someone has to start somewhere. Because the arbitrary way people consume media and determine whether it's worthwhile is absolutely fucking maddening. Like when you play something that's garbage, or I play something that's garbage, or consume something that's garbage, I know it's not garbage because people didn't give a shit. It's almost never garbage because people didn't give a shit. Sometimes it's garbage because people gave too much of a shit. So you waste your time. You waste your time working hours and hours and hours and hours pursuing a passion and a career path that is notoriously awful. Game development is such an awful career path. And you're going to be doing thankless, shitty work that nobody is going to recognize you for. Even if you were the director of a video game, that doesn't mean shit to most people. How do you do it? Why do you do it? Explain to me, please, how you keep doing it. How you keep making things that you want people to give a shit about, when you know they're probably not going to. Because as long as you make these things, I will keep giving a shit about them. I can't stop myself. This is just who I am. As long as people make things with passion and love, I have to love them passionately. And when I don't love them, I have to feel miserable about it. That's just how I am. This is just what I am. It doesn't amaze most people the way it amazes me. I've played thousands of games, and still, I'm shocked that I can open these programs and enter a virtual world created by another person, by other people, and play inside this entirely separate reality that they've constructed, with rules that they've constructed, with a goal in mind, with beautiful machinery all functioning together, mechanics slowly turning gears. Such complex machinery based around the idea of player perception and player input that varies depending on the reality. And I know I can't change shit. I don't know why. I don't understand what I thought was going to happen. Alright? When I started giving a shit about everything. I honestly don't. You're right. I had no clue what I was thinking. It is masochism. No matter what I do or how I do it, ultimately the end result is an unchanged world. I'm not going to change people's perception of video games. Even my attempts at more straightforward things, like video game preservation, have little meaning. I have played, completed, and recorded footage of several video games with no documentation or without a documented ending. I've done that. I've been the first person to record the ending of several video games. But as esoteric and wonderful as I find things like Abela Burn and Sid the Dummy and fucking DNA, Dark Native Apostle, what does it matter? How did it matter to the people that made it? Most of those people had to know when they made it that years and years after its release, almost no one would care, except for one gay nerd on the internet. One severely fucked up gay nerd that cares about video games to a fault and loves their design, and would spend hours analyzing the individual challenges in a game like Sneak King simply because he could tell that people made it and cared about it. I guess when you go in, it's all about asking yourself whether you can survive. Survive caring about something that not a lot of other people are going to. Is your support network enough? Because of course you're going to have some loved ones that will support you in what you do and care about you. But is that going to be enough when you pour so much work into creating something? The world is full of passionate people creating passionate things with love and soul. And so few of them are going to reach people in any meaningful fashion, and so much of that depends on blind charisma and such arbitrary, obnoxious facets of human perception. And I'm just so baffled that so many people can handle it. How so many people can go in, pour all their heart and soul into making something, and live with the fact that the end result is an unchanged world and unchanged people. Maybe there are people that can't handle it and you just don't hear about them. There have to be, right? Statistically, there have to be people that break, that can't handle it. People whose support network isn't enough to keep them going. But then what do you fucking do? The thing that you love, the thing that you are, if you're gonna give up on that, what do you do now? Who are you anymore? And I think that's it. I think that's why people keep going, is because they can't not be that. They have to be something. You have to be something. You can't be nothing. If you could be nothing, if you could just be nothing, that would make things so much simpler. But I think that's it, is that a lot of people can't be nothing. They have to be what they are. They have to put it out there. They have to put themselves out there, put what they love out there. Even though they know there is no end result. It's still going to be an unchanged world when it's done, when it's out there. When it's all out there, when it's done, when you go out doing what you do because you're being who you be. There are so many observations, so many ideas that went into everything I'm talking over right now. This final challenge, you have to deliver to every person on the map without getting caught. The final challenges in previous levels, you could still get caught and complete the challenge, but for the final challenge, you can't get caught at all. You have to maintain a perfect chain of 20 while delivering to everyone. And for me, this had the intended effect. I saw it as, a big final challenge, the culmination of all the previous design. I used everything I learned about how to avoid being detected in order to complete this mission. I used all my knowledge of the layout of the NPCs that I gained from the previous missions in this area. But at the end of the day, am I enough? Is myself and the other people who see this and agree with me, is that enough? I certainly hope so, because it's all I can give anyone. I can't change the world either. As sad as it is, I'm doing all I can do to preserve this. To show people that there is art here. There's art in this game design. That people thought about this and wanted it to be challenging and enjoyable and create something unique and fun. And I just hope it's enough. It's always going to be here if people ever want it, just like Sneak King's going to be there if people ever want it. I don't think many people do, but it's all we can do. It's all I can do. I gotta be something, and this is what I gotta be. No matter how shitty it is or how little things change, you gotta be something.
Downtown was abuzz last night following the arrival of a royal visitor. The king appeared late last evening unannounced, but with food in hand for several fortunate city dwellers. Though celebrity sightings aren't uncommon, it's a particularly special treat to be in the company of someone as charismatic and jovial as the king. His Majesty proved himself to be a man of the people when he began passing out delicious Burger King food to hungry urban dwellers and flashing his regal smile. One man noted out the uncanny timing of the king's nocturnal delivery, admitting that the king showed up just as his belly began rumbling.
You know, charismatic and jovial is probably the way I would describe this whole game. In general, it's a very jovial game, very carefree game, very pleasant game. I just want you to be happy. We're wearing the sneak outfit that you get for completing all 80 missions. It doesn't do anything. I hate to break it to anyone. This doesn't do anything aside from making the king look like he's merged with the symbiote. You can still get caught. Nothing about the game design changes. You're just wearing a black outfit now. So no, you don't get a special ending for completing all 80 challenges or any such thing, but that's perfectly fine. I enjoyed playing the game. Even if there wasn't even a cutscene for the final area at all, I think I would be able to live with that just fine. I don't know if a time will ever come where I'll pick up Sneak King again just to play it casually, but I completed the game. I 100%ed it. And you know what? I did it for fun, because I enjoyed it. And I'm glad for that. So this was Sneak King, a slightly above average exercise in exploring game mechanics to their fullest that most people dismissed because they associated it with tedium. It's lighthearted, good-natured, and it just wants to be loved. We all just want to be loved. It's all anyone really wants. How do I get to the credits from here?